This is Mustang Mike, and you're watching WGS-TV.
Hello everyone, welcome to another installment of WGS-TV right here on Spreaker.com and YouTube.com/WrestleGamer and ZFXTV. I'm the WrestleGamer, Double B Billy Bucho, and last night, guys and gals, WWE presented their annual... Now, I've got to say this is really probably the first time I've watched it in several years. Now, when WWE first started presenting the product of Tribute to the Troops for the first couple of years, I watched it because it was something new, innovative, interesting. They would actually go out to where the troops are over in either Afghanistan or Baghdad, and they would actually perform right in front of the troops over there. And as of late, you know, WWE decided not to do that. They just go to like one of the forts in the United States. And, you know, if that's their business, then that's their business. But the Tribute to the Troops just kind of get, you know, I don't want to say dull and boring, but, you know, it was just, you know, I don't want to say anything bad about the troops because I don't have anything bad to say. But the shows in itself weren't really worth watching, in my opinion, until this year. Because this year, you know, one of the big featured matches, they even advertised it on Raw and Super SmackDown. I think just on Super SmackDown, really, but it was something that really intrigued me. The Bootcamp match between Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt. And knowing what they did at TLC would be any kind of, you know, indication as to what we could expect at the Bootcamp match, then it really made it worth watching. So decided to watch it this year, and I'm going to give you guys a review, and joining me on the panel for this Tribute to the Troops review, first time, ladies and gentlemen, he is the hardcore host of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. He is the one, the only, thank God, the hardcore one, Rick Head. Rick, how you doing?
Well, thanks for the introduction, but I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, he's our resident music mogul over on YouTube.com/LanceMossTV. He is the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, how you doing?
Feeling better.
That's good to hear. That is definitely good to hear. Now, the opening segment, of course, you know, with it being Tribute to the Troops, you couldn't get more American than Hulk Hogan coming out to intro the entire show and thank the troops for everything they've done. And, of course, The Miz would come out, and, of course, the significance of that is, of course, that The Miz starred in the Marine 3. And, you know what? I did give that movie I did give that movie a try, and it was actually good. It was actually good. And if he's doing Marine 4, I might watch it. And I'll give it
standouts and stunt double.
Yeah, definitely that. Definitely that. But of course, you know, that's the whole reason why they had him out there to kind of do that. And then that would prompt John Cena to come out and give a response to what the Miz and Miz were doing. And of course, then Cena would knock Miz out of the ring, and of course, Damien Mizdow in true stunt double fashion would take the header. It was like, I'm going to take care of it, move to the side, and then next thing you know, somebody's just beating him up like, and goes out to the ring. That's why I love Mizdow. You know, he's really making that gimmick work, and I love that about him. And then it would just escalate into a big brawl, which would set up the main event, an 8-man tag match, as I very quickly go back to my notes. It's Cena, Ryback, Ziggler, and Rowan taking on Seth Rollins, Big Show, Luke Harper, and Kane. So that's how they pretty much just open up that one. The opening matchup on Tribute to the Troops, it was Golden Stardust taking on the Usos. Why? I don't know. I guess maybe to put the Usos over more, you know, since they're like really deep embroiled in a feud right now with the Miz and Damien Mizdow in a sense. And the finish of the match wasn't that shabby. Both the Usos would hit the Samoan Splash on both Golden Stardust to pick up the win there. Now, Lance, you were talking to me last night, and I know you have like a particular gripe that you wanted to air out on here concerning the Florida-Georgia line performances last night in Tribute to the Troops. You want to talk about it?
One, I've kind of before I went. It's like at a wrestling show, it should be a little bit more aggressive music. That's just my personal opinion. But my true gripe is with that second performance. If you notice, WWE, when you have two guys singing, you should have two live mics. One of those, the guy with the shorter hair, had a dead mic. You could not hear anything he was saying. What you were probably hearing was his voice into the other guy's microphone. The other guy you could hear loud and clear, but the short hair guy, you couldn't hear him.
Now, if you guys out there are fans of Florida Georgia Line, then more power to you. Not even going to discriminate that, because I rarely listen to music nowadays. If I do, it's probably just classic country or the holiday music that we have right now, since it's Christmas. But if you're fans of Florida Georgia Line, again, more power to you. I'm not saying they're a bad band. I just don't follow them. As, of course, our Divas correspondent would now show up on Skype and now send me a message, and I'm going to throw a hamburger in his face if he doesn't get the hell on here. And now he pops right back off. And then he pops right back off. I mean, really, seriously, what is going on with James, our Diva correspondents? Skype earned what they've done, and they got some hits and whatnot. And if they want to perform with WWE, then that's their prerogative, And not only that, it's also good promotion for anything that they're doing. But anyway, following that, we would have the Santa's Little Helper Diva Battle Royal. Really not much to be said about this. Again, Vince McMahon just has the idea in those are just supposed to be eye candy. And Rick, it's just something I've said time in and time out, and I just hope one day that Vince McMahon wakes up to this, and that's the fact that having good in-ring female talent cannot hurt your product. It can only help.
Well, I tend to agree with you, but I think the only time that Vince McMahon will wake up, well, he's not going to wake up. It's when he passes away. I hate to say it. But yeah, and, you obviously saw that in the ring with it when all these divas were in the ring. They were half-naked women, and they were all sitting there shaking themselves and just, shaking their asses. And obviously it was for the troops. Because you heard the troops in the back. Well, I'm sorry, they weren't in the front row, where they should have been, because it was tribute to the troops. But where were they, guys? They were in the back corner. This is tribute to the troops, and I have to take this corner because I did have to take this for a minute. Every time it shined them, and the camera shows up, and they're like, you see a whole bunch of troops, and like, where are they? Back up in the corner. Tribute to the troops, and I couldn't believe this, but anyway, so. Once we get back to the match, so we get over and these all these divas get thrown out, and there was one spot I think where it was Cameron versus Naomi, and Naomi flashes her mirror and she stops and checks herself out. I'm sorry, that was just stupid.
Yeah, it definitely was, but apparently that's part of her gimmick now, is the fact that she's extremely conceited, maybe almost narcissist-like, that she's in love with herself that much that she would stop and actually take time to look at herself and completely forget where she is. Naomi would actually pick up the win and win this battle royal. So again, they were putting over on commentary that even though she didn't win the Divas Championship, she got a little bit of bittersweet revenge for winning the Divas Battle Royal. Following that, guys, we would have the boot camp match: Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt. Now, I know they weren't going to go to the extent that they did at TLC because of possibly time constraints and the fact that it's on TV. But I'll still say this, though. Having, first off, they dressed up the ring and all camouflage and all kinds of stuff like that. Then they would actually have Sergeant Slaughter as your guest ring announcer. It only kind of fits because he's the guy that invented the boot camp match. The matchup in itself, Lance, I think really... And I think fans were probably expecting something towards the extent of where they went in TLC, but I think for what we got out of the boot camp match with Ambrose and Bray Wyatt, I think it was still a damn good match.
Oh, very much so. Personally, with it being a military-themed match, I felt it had could have been like the second to last match because it was tribute to the troops and it's a military-themed match. But other than that, really good match. Especially with the, I wonder if Bray Wyatt likes the taste of Sergeant Slaughter's feet.
Rick, over to you. What are your thoughts about the boot camp match? Did it sell enough for you? You know, was it a good match for you?
I won't say it was a bad match, to be honest with you. For me, it was like a very light TLC match. You know, we saw it on this past Sunday, so, and then when I saw that, it was just the same thing, but it was just a TLC with a flavor of course, the military flavor. So that's really what it was. I'm not gonna down it. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yep, ladies and gentlemen. Now, following that, of course, it makes perfect sense to have Rusev and Lana out there on tribute to the troops because it makes sense for some inane reason, to have them out there. Understand, because normally when they're out there, they just draw heat, and that's what they do 99.999999 to the 100th power percentile of the time. But then we would actually have Daniel Bryan come out and kind of respond to some of the comments that Rusev and Lana were making, and it was just, really setting something up. I was really expecting to hear Ryback's music pipe in at any point in time, but I do like the fact that not only is it tribute to the troops, but they actually involved some of the troops. They had some troops come over of course these are plans, but I gotta say, have them coming down from the rafters, a la Sting, the way he used to, and then have them come over the guardrail and basically kind of surround the ring with Rusev and Daniel Bryan. Got in there and said if he wanted to fight, he was going to fight him. And of course, he's not really going to do it because right now I don't think his neck is healthy enough to take hard physical bumps in the ring. So I was halfway expecting to either see Rusev back out and take the typical cowardly heel backtracking, which he did, or I was halfway expecting to hear Ryback's music because they're trying to start building an angle between Ryback and Rusev. It was very obvious over the past couple of days for what they're doing. What they did on Raw and what they did on Super SmackDown. It's almost obvious that we're trying to build an angle between these two. But I can understand why they didn't want to use them because they're saving them for the main event. So it really wouldn't make any sense to have them go out there. But Rick, I don't know what else to say about this segment.
Well, I think again, the fact that they brought Bryan out, they had to bring him up because obviously, like you said, it was a cheap heat, and obviously, it was obviously the troops were not happy the fact that he was out there, so they had to switch it around by bringing Bryan out there because when he went out there, they got huge pops instantly. The fans were like, okay, fine, they forget about this little twerp that's in the ring. And here's Bryan, and it's like, yeah, they did the yes, yes, yes. And once he left, they dropped that American flag, and everything, it all was forgotten. And that was what was really important. So, as far as whether Bryan was going to get ready to fight, I'm like, I'm walking the ring, I'm like, he's not going to fight, is he? I'm like, no way. And, Lance and I were talking about this last night, and, as much as we would like to see Bryan fight, I don't think they even know if or when he's going to fight. I think he's unfortunately going to pull another Edge story. Yeah,
and it would be rather unfortunate because we all know how talented he is in the ring and what he's done and what he's accomplished, and for all that to just go away because of one neck injury, a severe neck injury that's been required multiple surgeries to correct, and for him to lose his dream of being a professional wrestler. I think that would be not only heartbreaking to the fans, but heartbreaking to Daniel Bryan, the person himself. But go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, you know, even if he does lose his dream as a wrestler, he could always become, you know, do what he's doing now as a Legends contract. He could still come in and still, you know, do other things within the WWE. So, you know, I mean, it's not the same thing as wrestling, but if he's smart, and he, of course, he does have to retire as a wrestler, there's plenty of other things he can do within the WWE.
Yes, definitely, definitely. There are a lot of other avenues that he could explore. You know, even possibly commentary. Maybe he could become a good color commentator, because right now commentary sucks in WWE right now. But anyway, the main event on Tribute to the Troops, the big 8-man tag that was set up at the beginning of the show. John Cena, Ryback, and Ziggler, Eric Rowan taking on Seth Rollins, Big Show, Luke Harper, and Kane. To me, it wasn't really that memorable of a match, to be honest. I'm not going to say it was a bad 8-man tag, but I kind of question, you know, the structure of the whole show. And, you know, and it was something Lance even brought up, you know, why couldn't the boot camp match been the main event? Why couldn't they had the 8-man tag before that? Why did the 8-man tag have to be the main event? I know a lot of people out there are saying, oh, it's because of Cena. Well, maybe, but you know, to fit with the military style, since it is Tribute to the Troops, and the boot camp match really does fit the gimmick that is the Tribute to the Troops show, I think that it would have made more sense for that. Now, the finish of the match for the 8-man tag was, I want to say, halfway decent. Cena hits the A on Luke Harper on to the Big Show, and John Cena gets the pin, and then out comes Hulk Hogan, and basically just ended the show with a big celebration of the troops. And again, at this point in time, I'd like to take this opportunity to salute the troops out there and tell you thank you very much for all of your service and everything that you have done here. That's from everybody from here at WGS-TV and Hardcore Wrestling Radio as well. I'm pretty sure Rick agrees with that sentiment. But right now, guys, it's time to go into our overall scores and our picks for best and worst match or segment of Tribute to the Troops. Now, Tribute to the Troops, again, like I said, this is the first time I've had the opportunity to sit down and actually watch this in several years. I want to say the last time I really watched Tribute to the Troops, I think, was probably 2012, I think. And I was just so disgusted with that show and the way that the show was just so poorly formatted that I decided I wasn't going to watch it anymore until I got the news about the boot camp match with Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt, which is hands down best match of the night. Now, fans were probably expecting what they, you know, out of them for the boot camp match, what they did at TLC. Me, I knew it wasn't going to do. They weren't going to do that, so that's why I didn't really anticipate that much. But for what we got, it was still really, really good. The worst segment of the night. What happened to Florida Georgia Line in that microphone? Really? Really, the WWE sound guy really couldn't just check the equipment to make sure that it was working properly before they would send them out there and made Florida Georgia Line look like a couple of idiots out there. I have to give it to them. Now, overall, the show, I'm going to give it a middle. It wasn't as bad as some of the Monday Night Raws have been from WWE as of late. But again, it was still a holiday show, you know, themed to the troops, you know, saluting the troops. That's why I'm going to give it a 2.75 out of 5. Let's go to Rick next, get his overall score and his picks for best and worst match or segment of Tribute to the Troops. Rick?
Well, you know what? This show, if I'm not mistaken, was at one point in time, wasn't this on NBC, or this was on one of the higher stations? And you can understand, was this, correct me if I'm wrong, in the early days?
I think it was.
Well, you know,
that was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So you can understand why it got booted off that station, because let's be realistic. You know, when it first, in its early stages, you know, it was a true special. And now it's just, to me, it's become just another year thing. It's like, okay, here it is. And that's what it is. It's, oh, yep, here they go. And, you know, that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like it's a true tribute to the troops. You know, it's like, yep, we're just here. Yeah, we're just saluting. You know, it's like a nonchalant salute, and that's how it feels. It call me wrong, you know, and I'm sorry, but you know, they put the troops that they're supposedly saluting in the back fucking corner, like the fucking redheaded stepchild, while they put the the fans who pay tickets in the front row seat. How bad is that? That's terrible. They should put all those troops right in the front row. I'm sorry. That's just wrong. Dead wrong. And that's me just, bitching and complaining. And you know what? And the Florida Georgia line, never mind the musicians that they fucked up on. Screw that. I can put, you know what I mean? But when you take your own troops that you salute and you pay tribute to, and they say how they pay homage to each and every day, and we say thankful to every day, and you take these same troops and you put them in the back seat? Come on now. Give me a break. Stop making excuses. Because you know what? Then if that's the case, don't even let them in the building. You might as well just put them live via satellite. I'm sorry. That's just that is just an insult. You can sit there and keep on putting them on camera and putting them on camera and putting them on camera. It doesn't matter. And then they may feel thankful because they're getting a free ticket, but you get a free ticket and you're weighing the fucking blood nose seats. Come on.
Yeah.
What's right is right.
Definitely. Anyway, guys and gals, let's go to Lance and get his overall score and his picks for best and worst match or segment of Tribute to the Troops. Lance?
Overall, first, to me, this had all the makings of a Vince booked show. Because had John Boy in the main event, and when it had a military themed match in there, not there, but that's neither here nor there. But still, what sense does that make? None, exactly. And then you had the whole, which wouldn't surprise me if Vince accidentally made that faux pas, because he is getting up there in age, might be starting to slip a little bit with that whole strip thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, Leno was 60-something, and he still had all the troops on, a Thanksgiving show every year, but anyway. Best match? Yeah, Bootcamp. Worst? WWE, come on, y'all sound like can do better than that. Hell, y'all have had multiple people talking on two different mics in the ring before. Two different guys singing is not the same thing? Come on. Anyway, overall, I give it a 3.25. There wasn't really very many bad matches. It was entertaining. Not mania or nothing, but it was a pretty decent little show.
Anyway, guys and gals, what we want to know now from you guys out there, yes, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on Tribute to the Troops. What are your overall scores? What are your picks for best and worst match or segment of Tribute to the Troops? And do you also agree with Rick's feelings about the fact that the military was actually in the back corner and when they should have been out in the front because it's a show about the troops? Anyway, guys and gals, we definitely want to know what you guys have to say out there. Be sure to put your comments in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. Rick, where can fans check you out on HWR?
Of course, they can always find me on my Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And anytime you want to check us, any of our videos, make sure you check us out on YouTube, Dailymotion, and now Catch a Ride on SoundCloud. Just look up the word HWR Show. And guys, make sure we are taking a 2-week vacation after this Thursday.
Which is today.
That is right.
And and Lance, what can fans expect to see when they come visit your channel over on youtube.com/LanceMossTV?
Album reviews, NASCAR discussion videos, redneck woman cooking videos, musical equipment reviews, some rants, and starting next year, we will be having, I will be having the archives of the controversies and scandals from Hardcore Wrestling Radio, which consequently this week we will be doing our end of the year awards.
Yep, ladies and gentlemen, and if you're listening to us on Spreaker.com, be sure you hit that follow button if you like what you hear. And also, don't forget to follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/WGS-TV. And don't forget to please subscribe to youtube.com/WrestleGamer and youtube.com/ZFXTV Network if you haven't already. So for the hardcore host of Hardcore Wrestling Radio, Rick Head, and the incomparable Lance Moss from Lance Moss TV, I'm the WrestleGamer, Double D Billy Boudreaux, saying thank you very much for watching.